Hello and welcome to the Circuit de Ricardo Tormo in Valencia for the second race of this weekend's sixth round of the 2023 Spanish Formula 4 Championship. My name is Leo Gorman. You have us on a nice sunny morning. 24 degrees Celsius. The sun is out, a little bit of wind, and we're ready to go. And ready to go after what was, on one hand, a relatively quiet race yesterday that was had. And I think there's a little bit of delay, by the way. You can see on screen why. There was a there was a crash in a previous event that has damaged the safety barrier somewhat, so it's required a little bit of additional fixing. And so just really waiting for that to be completely finished before this race can get going. But okay, while that's happening, I can tell you some news yesterday, because I did mention at the end of yesterday's race that we may see some changes from the provisional finishing order. There have been lots and lots of penalties applied following yesterday's race. So the first thing to say is, as the cars crossed the line, there were 16 2-second time penalties applied. I'm not going to go through all the list of drivers who were penalised, because I'd be here forever and we would miss the race. 10 of those penalties were extended to 5 seconds, all of which for track limits. So the actual finishing order across the line, particularly in the second half of the field, really did not match what the eventual provisional classification was, as we see poleman Valerio Rinocella lining up in his slot. But there were several other penalties applied after yesterday's race, and I'm going to go through them bit by bit before this race starts. So those of you who were watching yesterday, we had a crash under safety car between Isaac Baracci and Filippo Fiorentino. That has resulted in a 5-place grid penalty for today's race for Baracci. Both of them retired. And João Diaz received a 3-place grid penalty for the turn 1 crash with Sarrazin. And he also received a reprimand for exiting the pit lane under the red flag conditions prior to the race. Kai Darianani received a reprimand for track limits in turn 1. Griffin Peebles will start today's race from the back of the grid. He breached track limits 15 times during the race. Eric Genet will also start from the back of the grid. He breached track limits 13 times during the race. Noah Stromsted will start at the back of the grid. Exact same, constant repeated breaches of track limits. And he also disobeyed the instructions for turn 1. Avis Rodea also received a reprimand for disobeying race director's instructions for turn 1. Renato Franco received a 3-place grid penalty for a collision. The driver who finished second in yesterday's race, Christian Ho, has received a 5-second time penalty, pushing the car off at turn 1 and also change of directions. So that drops him. He finished second, actually drops him to 3rd place, behind the now 2nd place finisher, Theophile Nail. The race winner, Valerio Rinocella, also received a time penalty. Luckily for Rinocella, this was actually with regards to race director's instructions at the restart following the safety car. So Rinocella was given a 2-second time penalty. However, because Christian Ho also took a penalty, that means Rinocella has been able to keep that win. Theophile Neal had finished 2.2 seconds behind Rinocella, so the new race-winning gap, as it were, is just 0.2 of a second. So, Genet, Stromsted, Baracci, Peebles, Genet, Stromsted, all starting from the back of the grid. Baracci's he's going to be starting from the pit lane. Gabriel still had a 10-place grid penalty. Not entirely sure why that is. I haven't seen instructions for that yet. Effectively, it's only dropped him 5 places down the order because everyone else had so many penalties. And I think that's about it. So, there we go. That is a very, very long list. Far more chaotic after the race than it was during the race. So much so that after Christian Ho received his penalty yesterday evening, yesterday evening, it was about 8:30 in the evening, the stewards decided to actually take a break, leave it overnight, and they'll come back this morning to finish off going through the penalties, which they did. There were several other reprimands and some fines handed out for minor issues, but basically, as at this point, we still have not received a final finishing order from race 1, although I do not anticipate there to be any more penalties handed out that would actually change the order. The 1 minute board has been shown. We shall get going with this race in a few moments' time. As you see the order on screen now, and Bracci, as mentioned there, he's listed at the very end. He will be starting from the pit lane, unless that's changed in the time since. And the drivers will be getting away from the grid now to start this second race of the weekend. And as we go through, as mentioned, Bracci starting from the back with Noah Stromstead and Eric Genet occupying row 17 with their penalties. Griffin Peoples and Gabriel Stipp starting 31st and 32nd respectively with their penalties. 30th on the grid will be Filippo Florentino, who's hit from the back under the safety car yesterday by Bracci. João Diaz, who crashed into Sarrazin on turn 1 yesterday's race, he starts 29th. Lorenzo Castillo gets away from 28th behind Luciano Morano. Kai Dirianani will start from 26th behind Renaud Franco. Massimiliano Restrepo starts 24th behind Alvis Rodea, while Theo Jensen for Santalok Racing will get away from 22nd. Federico Al-Rifai will start 21st on the grid, and rounding out the top 20 will be Fernando Barrichello. Flavio Oliveri, who is, as you see Bracci on screen there now, Flavio Oliveri gets away from 19th on the grid behind Daniel Mazzia, while Pablo Sarrazin will get away from 17th. He'll hope to actually finish today's race. Lynn Houdinez, solid qualifying for him, starts 16th behind Hiyu Yamakoshi, while Jesse Carisquara will get away from 14th, and Alexander Absakava will start from 13th place. Row 6, we will have Noah Lyle in 11th, while Juan Cota gets away from 12th. And rounding out the top 10, Pedro Claro will get away, the Brazilian who won races in Spa earlier on this year. There's not won a race since. Kiana Alazzari will get away from 9th place, while Alex Ninovic for Rodin Cars starts 8th. Riccardo Grazia got a 4th place finish yesterday. Congratulations to him, by far his best performance in Formula 4. Well, he starts 7th for this morning's race, just behind Enzo Deligny, the driver currently 2nd in the championship standings. Christian Ho will get away from 5th on the grid, while Andres Cardenas will start 4th, just behind the 3rd place starter, Matteo De Peo. And as they come onto the start-finish straight, the driver in the blue and white machine, 2nd in the order, championship leader Theo Felnail will get away from 2nd on the grid, while the pole man in the orange MP Motorsport machine, he will peel off onto the left-hand side of the screen as Valerio Rinicella gets away from pole position in what will be his 4th pole position of this 2023 season. So, Theo Felnail will be looking for a big result today to take him a step closer to winning this season's Spanish Formula 4 Championship. He's getting closer. You can feel he's getting closer. And it's a long, long, long wait for those drivers at the front of the order as the back end of the field pulls into their slots. And we're away. And it's a slow start by Rinnicella. Nail ahead. I think Cardenas may have also taken the pair. Actually, side by side, Rinnicella goes to the inside or to the outside of Nail, but can't quite make it. Cardenas trying to get through the inside of the pair. Drivers well off the track and then rejoining in turn one. But TfL Nail has the lead. And Christian Ho has made a very good start as well. We've had a spinner at the back. Two spinners at the back, I'm afraid. That is, I think, Wow Diaz and Filippo Fiorentino, who's had a dreadful weekend so far. Been taken out of yesterday's race and not much happening for him today. Hopefully he'll be able to get going. But right now, Nail continues to lead. Ahead of Rinnicella. Ho is third place, ahead of Enzo Deligny. Alex Ninovic in Roden Cars is up to fifth position. DePeo has dropped down to sixth, while Noah Lyle is seventh, ahead of Chiana Alazzari and Riccardo Grazia, ninth place being the last points paying position. DePeo has got past Deligny for fourth position. And Grazia has lost a couple of positions now. Claro and Cardenas have got by. So Cardenas is now up to ninth place. Claro is up to 10th. Grazia has dropped down to 11th place. And we see two of the Campos Racing entries running in the top three. That is Ho ahead of DePeo. Another driver off the track at the back of the field. And I do believe that might be Eric Genet, who has rejoined. There's the action. Thick and fast here at the Circuit of Ricardo Tormo. And TfL Nail on his second lap. Hiyu Yamakoshi has taken Juan Cota for 12th and 13th positions. They've changed positions once again. The safety car running towards the back end of the order. And we see the field now coming round on their third lap. And TfL Nail continuing to lead from Valerio Rinnicella, Christian Ho in third place. Matteo DePeo is in fourth, ahead of Enzo Deligny. Alex Ninovic holding fifth, ahead of Noah Lyle and Chiana Alazzari, while Andres Cardenas closes out ninth place. Remember, the top nine, as I said, are the points paying positions this week for this race. Pedro Claro, as we see Lyle coming through the screen now. Valerio Rinnicella is a gap of 0.6 of a second behind him. Then you got Ho, then you got DePeo, then you have Deligny, the Red Bull liveried car. Alex Ninovic in sixth position. And bits of action towards the back end and rear of the field as they come through the final corner, battling hard for these race two positions. Remember, this is a shortened race of the weekend, 25 minutes plus one lap, and it will have fewer points on order. The fastest lap of the race, by the way, last time around by TfL Nail, 1 minute 34.071. That will garner an additional point for the fastest lap runner should they finish in the top 10. Well, as it stands, TfL Nail has absolutely no risk of that whatsoever. An incident, that lap one incident in turn two is under investigation. We'll give you more notes on that when we get it. But right now, as it stands, TfL Nail leads. Christian Ho, Valerio Rinnicella is in second place. The gap between them is extending 0.8 of a second as it stands. And right now, Nail is just pulling away from Rinnicella bit by bit, an 0.1 of a second here and there where he can, how he can. And as they come through the screen once again, Christian Ho is still in third place ahead of Matteo DePeo. And you have Enzo Deligny still in fifth position ahead of Alex Ninovic. Noah Lyle there in seventh place. They're coming across to complete another lap now. Alazzari is in 8th behind Noah Lyle. Cardenas is 9th. Claro 10th. Ricardo Grazia 11th position. Yamakashu in 12th. Juan Cota in 13th ahead of Federico Arafai. Alexander Abzakava 15th. Mattia 16th. Renato Franco in 17th, the debutant racer. As we see a bit of action there between, that is Isaac Baracci and Joao Diaz over 33rd and 34th positions. That's Filippo Fiorentino, by the way, who did continue following that first lap spin. And he is, it's good. It's important for them to get a lap, even though he is some 15 seconds behind the next runner and 45 seconds behind the race leader. It's important for drivers at this level to get as much track time as humanly possible, to keep on going, to keep on pushing, to get as much knowledge. There's not as much testing, anywhere near as much testing as there used to be. And by continuing to get as much lap time as he possibly can. Now remember, he only did one lap yesterday. Most of that was under safety car. As we see the race leader, Theo Neil, come through ahead of Renicello. Then still Christian Ho and Matteo De Peo in 4th place. Enzo Deligny still 5th. Alex Ninovic 6th. Noah Lyle in 7th place. Ahead of Chiana Alazzari and Andres Cardenas. And the drivers coming through the rear of the field. Not much changing. We had a few changes of position between the mid-order as the field sorts itself out. I do believe Lynn Herdinez has just taken Griffin Peebles for 27th positions. The back end of the order still fighting very hard over even those minor positions. Another fastest lap, by the way, for Theo Neil at 1 minute 33.386. And the top end of the order, as we go back to the director cut, the top end of the order still pushing away very, very, very hard. They're quite a bit quicker than those behind. And we have a driver off the circuit, and it's a safety car. And that is, I can tell you now, maybe Flavio Oliveri. Oh, and we have another car upturned into the barrier. Can't tell who that is yet. We'll wait for confirmation on that. That seems like a big accident. And the safety car is pulled with 15 minutes of this lap, and this may be a good few minutes under safety car. So yes, that is Flavio Oliveri. And waiting now for information about the second car. Which I do believe at this stage is Noah Stromstead. And the field now of the safety car conditions slowing down, weaving as much as they can, trying to keep as much temperature in the tires as humanly possible. And the order nullified for the moment. And that is Oliveri walking away. The Cram Motorsport entry. Theo Neil leading this race ahead of Valerio Rinicella. Christian Ho in 3rd position. Matteo De Peo running 4th ahead of Enzo Deligny in 5th. That's been pretty static from the start of the race. Alex Ninovic in 6th place, ahead of Noah Lyle. Noah Lyle, of course, in dual Formula 4 duty this season, also racing in British Formula 4. And Chiana Alazzari running in 8th position, and the final point scorer at the moment is Andres Cardenas. I'm waiting for the cleanup to be completed, so we can hopefully get this race underway for a few more laps. We did have a short safety car period for yesterday's race. At the beginning, it was an incident between Pablo Sarrazin and Joao Diaz, which saw Sarrazin spin off into turn 1 with the rear wing flying away. Diaz got a penalty for that. Of course, under the safety car in that race, there was an incident between Isaac Veracci and Filippo Fiorentino. As the field really came round the final corner, and it's a little bit of a concertina effect as the field kind of closed up slightly, and it took Veracci by surprise, and he ran into the back, and we have Noah Stromstead out of the car and being walked away, and that is absolutely wonderful news. That is fantastic to see. Stromstead being walked away following what I can only assume was a quite monumental accident, to be land almost upside down against the barriers in that way. Of course, Flavio Oliveri with damage to his car as well. We've already seen him leave the scene. But fantastic scenes to see Stromstead out of the car. Probably a little bit shaken. But if that's the worst, then that is absolutely incredible. Now, we do have 10.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. So it will be a battle to get this race restarted. As it's going to be pretty difficult to retrieve that car. We already lost several minutes because they were trying to extricate Stromstead from the car. So it is be an interesting case of how, well, actually, and that's the thing, you don't really know how much damage is done to the top end of the car. You know, it has gone upside down. As we see the leading rookie in this race, Matteo De Peo, 4th place overall. And that is Ninovic tracking Deligny. And the safety car is in this lap, so actually looks as if maybe not much damage done to the car at all, and it was actually easy to winch away. It was just a case of turning it over and pulling it out of the way. So that is good news. We are going to get this race restarted. 9 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. We'll lose probably another minute or so as the safety car peels away, and DFL Neil slows the field, looks in his mirrors. He can see exactly where Valerio Rinicella is. Just behind Rinicella, you got Christian Hope. Then Matteo De Peo, Enzo Deligny, Alex Ninovic, all keeping a watching brief as Nail puts the foot down, accelerates through the left-hander. Rinicella is not anywhere near VFL Nail as they come through the final corner, and Rinicella locking up his front right. Several other drivers locking up as well, but it must be said Christian Hope is closer to Rinicella than Rinicella is to Nail. And I don't think Christian Ho is close enough to put any pressure on VFL Nail coming into turn 1. He looks out into the middle of the road. It's not going to happen there, but he's just making sure Rinicella knows that he will be threatening for second place. But of course, Christian Ho is also going to look out behind for Matteo De Peo, who himself is under pressure from Enzo Deligny, who himself is going to be under pressure from Alex Ninovic. Deligny looking very feisty in a to try and get past Peo over 4th and 5th positions. But Nail is already making a gap. It's half a second over Valerio Rinicella. Nail will be hoping to absolutely break the back of this race in the next couple of laps. Make absolutely certain that Valerio Rinicella does not have an opportunity down the field. I can tell you, Elvis Rodeo has just lost a couple of positions. Gabriel Stilp and Jessica Carasquara have gotten past him for 19th and 20th positions. Rodeo down to 21st. Poor race so far for Carasquara, who started 14th and is now 6 positions below where he started. Another big loser is, of course, Lynn Houdinez, is 24th at the moment. Started 16th. And 2 more drivers into the gravel. And this will be another safety car. And one of them is number 10. That is Lorenzo Castillo. I have a feeling the other car might be Maximiano Restrepo. That is very much the case. Absolutely beats. I can't see this, and a safety car has been called. And to get 2 cars out of the gravel like that in such short order is going to be pretty difficult. The marshals work fast. We might get a lap or so under green right at the end, but they look pretty interlocked as well. And hopefully we'll get a replay, see what happened. As the marshals now running to the drivers. And don't be concerned, really, if you don't see the drivers getting out of the car straight away. They are instructed to stay in the cars. Until it is safe for them to actually get out of the cockpits. So see a replay of the restart. Maybe we'll see a replay of the incident. Oh, and that is... Ooh. Squeaky bum time. So, we have another safety car. And CFL Neil will be hoping that the safety car stays out long enough so that he can just wind his way to another race win. Of course, he doesn't necessarily want to win a race under safety car, but a win is a win. You take it whatever way you can. Nail leading from Rinicella in second place. Christian Ho is third. Matteo De Pello is 4th overall. He is the leading rookie in this race. The next rookie is the 5th place man, Enzo Deligny. The 3rd place rookie is the 6th place man, Alex Nunovic. Then I have Noah Lyle running in 7th. This is his 2nd season in Formula 4. He competed in British Formula 4 last year, and as I said, he's doing a dual campaign of British and Spanish Formula 4 this season, and the 2 drivers, that is Castillo and Restrepo, avoiding each other like the plague, probably for the best. Eighth place is the 4th running rookie, that is Keanu Alezzari. And 9th place is the 5th place running rookie, Andres Cardenas. As we see a view of Valencia and the hills in the background. I've stayed in Chester many times. Absolutely lovely. Once stayed in a hotel that was in the middle of an industrial estate next door to a closed petrol station. I saw lots of tumbleweed that weekend. Field running around, 4 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. The marshals working very hard to get this race going once again. Nail in the Santalok Racing entry. And it must be said, congratulations to Santalok Racing, who've adapted to single-seater racing like a duck to water. Debuted in single-seaters last season in Spa at the Formula 4 round there with 1 car, and have gingerly kind of increased their presence, not just in Spanish Formula 4, but in Formula 4 across many territories. They were also racing in UAE Formula 4 this year, and I think they were in a couple of other categories too. But they also made the step up to Eurocup 3 racing a couple of rounds ago in Jerez. And they're up to another level, kind of more Formula Regional European-ish level, kind of national Formula 3 category. But it's another step up. They entered one car into Eurocup 3. Those of you who are watching Spanish Formula 4 this weekend, do not forget to check in with Eurocup 3 action as well. Also taking place here at Jerez, brought to you by my good friend Jake Sanson. The safety car is coming in this lap. And interesting note from race control is due to the quantity of warnings that are coming through via track limits, etc. The stewards have now only announced time penalties. They won't actually announce the warnings. There's just too many. And I think that's a nod to the drivers to, you know, come on. We've had penalties applied for... Rodea has got a penalty. Christian Ho has got a penalty. Noah Lyle has got a penalty. And Daniel Matzi got a penalty. All for track limits, all 1 second penalties. And with just probably only 2 laps to go in this race, as Nail gets to restart away from Rinnicella. More smoking tyres in the background as drivers lock up. The safety car leads the field. Nail leads the field. Rodea is much closer this time, a much better restart from him. He's still not quite close enough to make the move on the race leader. But can he put Nail under pressure? Can he threaten and maybe distract the race leader to possibly find a way through? As we see the Pale going a little bit off the circuit, he's still being chased by Enzo Deligny and Alex Ninovic in 6th place. If nothing else, even if the positions stay as they are, Rinnicella should actually jump up to 2nd place in the standings. I'll need to double check the numbers, but Christian Ho may also be in a position to jump Enzo Deligny. That is unconfirmed. Again, I will check once this race is concluded. But as it stands, Nail looks the driver unthreatened. The gap 6.5 tenths of a second as they came around the finish line last time around. It's ebbed and flowed a little bit too since then as they come through the left right of the chicane onto the back straight. To the right-hander, you have Nail still leading from Rinnicella. Christian Ho in 3rd place. The Pale's under a little bit of pressure from Deligny, but Deligny is also worrying about Ninovic just behind. Ninovic driven a solid race this time out. The young Australian. As they come across the line to complete the penultimate lap. This is the last lap of this race. Lap 14. Nail still holding the point, the bonus point for fastest lap of women at 33.3, set much earlier on in this race. And he just looks as if he has the legs over Rinnicella this time around. Closest battle in that top order is Ninovic pressing Deligny hard. The gap just 2.5 tenths of a second. And Deligny certainly doesn't want to lose another position. But I can tell you that Luciano Morano and Griffin Peebles are battling hard for position. They've swapped 28th and 29th places a couple of times this lap. Peebles 28th, Morano 29th. Not that Nail is noticing that at all. His gap is 7 tenths of a second over Rinnicella. And unless he makes a significant error, I cannot see a scenario where Nail loses this race. And he looks in complete control. He looks calm. He looks cool. This is all about Sandlock Racing. As I mentioned earlier on, they've really come to the fore in the single-seater racing and have turned solid results into podiums and into now numerous race wins. And this is another one for Theo Nail as he crosses the finish line to take his 8th win of the 2024 season. Noah Lyle, with his 1 second time penalty, has actually dropped him from 7th to 9th. Christian Ho has dropped from 3rd to 5th with his 1 second time penalty. Absakava received an additional 2 second time penalty. I think he's lost 2 positions or 3 positions as well. Actually, Absakava dropped from 15th to 18th, I believe. But as it stands, TfL Neil has won ahead of Rinicella. Matteo De Peo promoted to 3rd place ahead of Enzo Deligny 4th and Christian Ho 5th. Alex Ninovic 6th ahead of Noah Lyle. Kiana Alatzari Alex Ninovic, then Alatzari, then Cardenas, and then Noah Lyle. And Lyle getting closer and closer and closer to the championship. It's not a done deal yet, but he can see it, he can feel it, he knows it's coming soon. See De Peo and Neil side by side congratulating each other. As they come into Parc Fermé, the top 3 will pull off to the right, and the leading rookie will also pull in, while the rest of the field trundle on down to their pit boxes. And the celebrations for race 2 will begin. Delighted TfL Neil, and he should be delighted. It really has clicked for him this season. It's clicked for him and Santaloc Racing. Another win, another 18 points, 19 points, of course, fastest lap as well. Rinicella coming home 2nd ahead of De Peo. Deligny classified 4th in the end, and it does mean Rinicella is in 2nd in the standings. He's now got a 4-point advantage over Deligny, 205 to 201. But Nail is on 279 points, so there's a gap of now 74 points between Nail and Rinicella. It does mean that if the results go well later on today, Nail could win the championship today. See the field getting away. At the beginning, spin at the start between Diaz and Fiorentino. Ninovic battled hard to get past Deligny throughout the race, but just couldn't quite manage it in the end. Several drivers flying off. But then we did have a crash that took Fabio Oliveri and Noah Stromstead out. And it seemed like a very big crash indeed, with Stromstead landing upside down by the barrier. Nail handled the restart perfectly well, got away from Rinicella. It was a short-lived restart. It was another incident further down the order. Well, brought out a 2nd safety car. But that didn't matter because Nail got away from that finally as well. You see the results on screen now. Nail, Rinicella from De Peo, Delaney, Christian Ho did finish in third, but his time penalty is dropping down to fifth. Ninovic is sixth, ahead of Alazzari, Cardenas, then Lyle. Lyle also received the penalty, but that dropped him down from seventh to ninth. So,
Teofil, congratulations again.
There's an interview now with the race winner,
for you
Teofil
with
Neal.
the safety cars, but good manage with the restarts.
Yeah, it was so difficult, 2 safety cars. It's a lot. I was trying to manage my restart, but no, it was. I'm quite happy. We did a really good job with the team. The car was perfect. Now we are focused on race 3. I'm starting in pole. Maybe I can finish the championship there, so I will try and I will do my best.
I imagine that you are running with a calculator in your hand.
Yeah, for sure.
Good luck for the next race. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I can confirm now is that Teofil Neal, obviously, still leads the championship with 279, ahead of Valerio Inicella on 205. Enzo Delaney is third in the standings with 201. Christian Ho is down to fourth in the standings with 190 points. Then there's a bit of a drop. You've got Pedro Claro is fifth in the standings with 140. Sixth in the standings is Matteo De Peo with 127. He'll be looking to try and leapfrog Claro later on today, I assume. Well, obviously. Noah Stromstead, following his crash, seventh in the standings still with 103. Cardenas now 8th in the standings with 97 points, ahead of Keanu Alazzari with 87. Noah Lyle with his one single solitary point is still 10th in the standings with 42. Our driver is still under investigation following events in this race, and they are Daniel Matzia, Alex Absakava, Flavio Oliveri, presumably for the incident with Stromstead. Stromstead himself is under investigation for that. And the other two drivers still under investigation after this race are Maximiliano Restrepo and Lorenzo Castillo, presumably for the incident they had that caused the second safety car during the race. Healthy crowd here today at the Circuit de Ricardo Toma in Valencia. And we're getting certainly value for money in this race. There will be no further action required for the incident between Filipino and Diaz that happened in turn 1 on the first lap. Stewards who looked at it just said it was a simple spin, so no penalties, no investigation required. As we see the top 3 drivers now on the podium, along with the representative for Campos Racing, Santalock Racing, for the race winner, Teofil Neal in the centre podium, on in the orange overalls. To his right is Rinicella, and the driver who finished third on screen, if not on the road, is Matteo De Peo. He's just received his bronze trophy, the silver trophy for the orange-red clad Valerio Inicella. Second place for MP Motorsport. And the gold trophy for the race winner for the 8th time this season, Teofil Neal, holds the trophy high. And that will be celebrated, but there may be bigger celebrations later on today as we see the Santalock Racing mechanic get the Constructors' Trophy. But for now, the Spanish national anthem for Teofil Neal.
Ese aplauso para el cuadro de honor en esta carrera.
And photos in a few moments now. And a post-race penalty for Alvis Rodeo, by the way. He's just received a 5-second time penalty. That drops him down from 20th to 28th as the top three and the Central Racing mechanic get together for photographs. Click, 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 click. As said, the gap is 74 points. And I'm going to do some mental arithmetic, which is always quite dangerous. You never know what you might blow up. But so there is 75 points available next weekend. Or sorry, for the next round, the final round in Barcelona. So VFL Neil needs 2 more points over Rinachella to win the title. There you go. Well, it's been an interesting and exciting race too. You've seen the podium, and there goes the highest playing finished rookie, but we're not going to stay for that. My name is Leo Gorman. It's been incredibly wonderful and fantastic and interesting to bring this race for you today. Thankfully, all is good, all is well, but we will see you for the final race of the weekend later on this afternoon. Until then, thank you very much and goodbye.